Okay, so this is the inside of my computer. It will be different than your computer. So the first thing you do before you go any further, as a matter of fact, you should have done this before you took the cover off, is that you want to go down to that power supply and unplug your cable. And make sure that your cable is unplugged because you don't want to be working on a computer that has power on it. Guarantee it's a good way to destroy things. I thought my power was off one day and I took something out and I took out my motherboard. So even those people that have been working on computers for years do stupid things. So don't be bent out of shape if you do something stupid, because it's part of the way it works. So this is the inside of the computer. So I'm just going to show you the parts of it. Way over here is the power supply. And the power supply provides all the necessary voltages in DC for the operation of the computer. This here is the CPU cooler. Now this is a nice cooler. This is a Mugen 5, and it's very quiet and it's very efficient. And they made a Japanese company, and they're hard to get because they're so popular. But you can get them. You just watch for them to get down below $50. Don't buy them when they're 80. It's a supply and demand thing. The red things down here, right here, that's the memory. So I have 4 sticks of 16s, which gives me 64 gigabytes of RAM. And the RAM is where your programs are going to run, generally speaking, and they'll go back and forth between your C drive and your RAM. But the more RAM, then the more you have for the programs to run on the RAM. However, you can't overdo it. So unless you have programs that are memory huggers or eaters, 64 is probably the most you want. 32 is probably a really good place to be. It's a good idea to use all 4 slots. You don't have to, but it's a good idea. So if you're not going to go over 32, for example, you only need 4 8s to make 32. It's best to have at least 2 slots of memory occupied. And you want to consult with your manual on where's the best place to put them if you're going to be doing 2 memory sticks. We got the rear cooling fan. You have to have that to keep your machine cool. Way over here is the video card, or video graphics card. That's used for a lot of different things. I use it for video editing, the gaming cards. This is only a 6 gigabyte. Only 6. Only 6 gigabytes. Back in the day, and not too long ago, you could find computers out there now that are selling used that are only have like a half a gigabyte. And it's no wonder they even run. But if you're getting a lot of buffering of videos, then you might want to increase your memory for your video card, which you can't upgrade memory on your video card. You have to buy a card with more memory on it, which is way over here is the DVD drive. And a lot of desktops don't even have an internal DVD drive anymore. They use an external if you're ever going to use one again. Over here is drive storage. So right now there's one drive in here that's a 2 terabyte drive that I use for video storage. And then on the motherboard we have 2 M2 drives. The one of them, which is hiding under this heatsink, is the C drive, and then the other drive which is probably hiding underneath of my graphics card, is the 2 terabyte Intel 666p drive. And then the card right here is for more USB 3 ports. And you don't always need that, but on the newer boards you usually have enough for just about everything. Sometimes on older systems it's useful to get USB 3 onto a board that doesn't support USB 3 in the external panels. So, and that's about it. The big thing on the bottom is the motherboard. You got to be very careful with that. Below the heatsink is the CPU. You want to be very careful with that. You want to be very careful with everything in here. Now basically most computers now on the new boards, they can run without any external drives. So you may not even need this if you have a large enough M2 drive. So, and of course here you can put in 3 more hard drives. These are the desktop hard drives. And then there's a space for, let's see, light it up. It's in there somewhere over the rainbow. Alright, so right here, this is a really nice case. This is the Corsair's 200R, and it's a beautiful case to have. It's got plenty of room. It's moderately priced. It's like $75 or so. It's got plenty of room for fat fingers, and there's a lot of stuff. So you can put in 4 SSDs into this case. Now, the motherboard won't support 4 SSDs, but, well, it would if I didn't have the M2 drives. So there are 6 SATA ports. One's going to be used for this drive, and then the other 5 I could do with physical drives or SSDs mounted right here. But I have 2 slots taken up with M2 drives, so that eliminates 2 slots, maybe a third, depending on your motherboard capabilities. So there probably only is enough to put maybe 1 more drive or 2 drives left in here if I wanted to. At the moment I don't really need it, so what we're going to do is we're going to take the heatsink off, because under the heatsink is where my C drive is, my M2 C drive, and yeah. Well, let's see if we could do it without taking the fan off. And if we have to, we'll take the fan off. So you have to use a special screwdriver. They actually give you a screwdriver. Not this one, because this is one that's coined Big Red. But in the box with the heatsink, they're going to give you a screwdriver to get at these screws down here. There we go. And you can look back at one of my old videos that I have on building your own computer, and it would explains all this stuff step by step. I'm itching to build another computer. It's just not in my budget at the moment. So, and of course, if I build another computer, I will shoot a video of it. So, We're going to have to take off the fan because we can't get at. Oh yeah, so the other screw is right there. It's not in that slot. So I'll retighten that screwdriver I loosened up in here. Oops. Now you want to set this heatsink somewhere where you're not going to hit, because this is heatsink compound, and you just assume not smudge that so you don't have to reapply more. And then there's heatsink compound on the CPU board, which you can see right there in the center. So over here is the capture screw for the M2 drive. And the screw is very small, and you have to be careful you don't lose it, because you definitely don't want to have to flip this whole computer over and shake it onto the floor. I wonder if that was the problem. So I made a mistake when I installed this the first time. I didn't move my post down to here. Or that post is for the heatsink cover. And the correct post for the drive is not there. So a good friend of mine on YouTube friend, Gary Holzman, well worth it if you check out his channel. He says never throw away your motherboard box. Now if you buy a used computer or a new computer, you won't have that ability. You would be hope that they give you everything that you need. But buried in the bottom of the box where you wouldn't necessarily look, there are these two packages. Now I guess on the new motherboards you get from some of the manufacturers like Gigabytes or others, these are already installed. It will lead me to believe that the other one is the same way. So these go in the board, and they will secure your M2 drive to the board in its proper location. Greetings, I'm Reverend John O'Toole. Thank you for watching my videos. They certainly are worth a laugh. So before I start this video, well, you have already watched most of the video. This video recording, or this particular project, kind of went on for a lot longer than you saw. It went on a long time. But before I talk about that, I just want to say this video is for entertainment purposes, and this is for you to learn about things about computers and me. Just in case you didn't know yet. So, you can learn and get knowledge from what I do, but it's up to you on what your responsibility for yourselves. And that's true in life. Participate, learn, question, ask questions, learn, and respond, not react. So, this was supposed to be a very simple video. I was upgrading my SSD on my computer, which I was going to was the fastest on the market, is the Samsung SSD M2 drive, 1 terabyte. They have 2 terabytes and they have 4 terabytes. But my budget doesn't quite support a 2 and a 4. But I only need a 1 terabyte for my C drive because I don't have videos that are actually that large. When I get into 4K, I might have to change my mind, but right now, this is what's going to do, and this is supposed to be the fastest SSD and the most reliable. Reliability is the key to buying your products and services. Forgive the air conditioner in the background. It's helped keeping me breathing fresh air. So, this was a simple thing of upgrading my Intel 660p 1 terabyte to a Samsung, and all I had to do is replace the C drive with the new drive as you've seen in this video prior. But even people that have extreme knowledge in what they're doing still make stupid mistakes. And the stupid mistake I made 2 years ago, which really wasn't so noticeable, well, it was kind of noticeable in speed, was that when I installed my 2 M2 drives, I put my C drive in the wrong port on the motherboard. Now, on this motherboard, there are 2 M2 SSD slots. Some have 3 and some 4, I imagine. But on this one, there's only 2. And through the complexities of the motherboard, the primary M2 slot runs at full speed. The secondary M2 slot, it runs at half speed. And it occupies 2 SATA ports. Now the SATA ports are where you connect drives to the motherboard that aren't mounted on the motherboard, which is basically how they've been hooking up drives for a number ever since this particular range of boards have come out. So I put my primary C drive in the half running speed and my storage drive in the full running speed. Now, interesting enough, it still worked. It just didn't go as fast. And that was what I was noticing with my C drive, is that the drive wasn't very fast. And that was why I actually was upgrading to the Samsung drive, which runs at twice the speed. But with that, because they were switched around, I was now making it right and putting things in the correct spot. But because I moved those locations, all the programs that have really been installed on the computer since I built it were all going to reference the hard drive in the wrong spot. So none of the programs would work. They all came up saying that the links were bad. So in the end, what I had to do is do a clean install of Windows and all of my subsequent programs that I had required on my computer. Sometimes that could be somewhat of a challenge, particularly when there's a key involved and you have to kind of go back to the manufacturer and get an updated key. And in my case, because I have DSL, I have to download my time from so much. So it may take hours to download certain products. However, the software load went unbelievably fast. Windows, the two great things is that Windows, and this is an important thing for you to check. If you go to your control panel, let me just do it as I'm talking to you. So you go to the start button, which is the little window symbol down in the far left-hand corner. You hover your mouse over that and you press your mouse on it, and then you go to your control panel, which is the gear-looking box thing. And when you open up your settings, you want to click on your system folder. And then on the system, you go down to the About. Perhaps you're doing this as I'm talking. And the About is going to tell you some interesting information about your computer. It's going to tell you your desktop name, and it's going to tell you what you have on there for a CPU. For my case, it's an i7-8700K, 3.7 gigahertz. I have 64 gigabytes of RAM installed on the computer. And yeah, I have Windows 10 Pro, and I'm at version 2004. Now the version prior to this was 1806, and there was an upgrade 3 months ago, or over the last 3 months. There's been an upgrade going on that brings you up to 2004. Some computers didn't do it, and you kind of have to force it to go manually, and then still some reasons they don't go. And that's where I was at with this computer, is it wouldn't go to 2004 no matter what. So basically what I did is I downloaded a new copy of Windows 10 Pro or Windows 10 from Microsoft and put it on a thumb drive, and it's all in there. You Google making a creation tool for Windows 10 and they'll tell you how to do it step by step, to download it and take it and put it onto a thumb drive, or you can put it on a DVD if that's what you really wish. And then you can do a fresh install of 2004 version if you can't get past it. And if you have programs that are running that require the new version of Windows, you know, that's essentially what you're going to have to do. It's kind of a pain in the neck, but you know, it works. But it runs very fast with this new drive. So essentially what I had to do to make the load work, because the computer was kind of confused, is you have to take out all your drives that you have on your computer. So I had to disconnect the Seagate, no big deal. I decided to unplug the power connector because it's an external drive. I had to unplug my 2 terabyte video storage drive, and I had to remove the 2 terabyte M2 drive storage drive that was under the graphics card, so that the only thing left in the computer was the CD-ROM and the M2 drive Samsung located into the primary M2 slot, which was underneath the cooler. And then I was able to get Windows to install, and it installed quick. It was done in like 5 minutes. It was very fast. If you want to look at video how to install Windows on your computer, go to Kerry Holzman's YouTube channel. He's got tons of them, and he explains it amazingly well. He's an amazing teacher for YouTube. He's just amazing. And kind of quirky, and very funny, and very spiritual. If you don't mind spiritual, he's spiritual. He's not the spiritual like I am spiritual, but and subscribe to him because he is quite the interesting guy, and he does a lot of live shows. If you just want to have somebody on in the background, and you could, when he has a live show, you can just turn it on, and then you go do your thing and listen to his program, and you'll learn the little things. Even now, I still learn things from him that I probably would never have thought of. So, in fact, last night he was feeding his dogs chicken feet that he got in a bag. You know, pig's ears and chicken feet, and the dogs really actually like them more than they like the dog bones, the dog biscuits. So. Now the machine's up and running, and everything is running great. So even the most experienced people can make mistakes. Sometimes they're silly, and sometimes you can reverse them, and sometimes things just go up in smoke because I didn't unplug it, or I dropped a screwdriver into a live computer, or yeah, there's things that happen. But you're not gonna find out until you learn how to do it yourself. But remember, backup, backup, backup. Even 2 backups isn't bad. Back up your information on your phone, on your computer, on your tablet, in your life. Yeah, just back up and make sure you have a copy. Otherwise, you just have to start from scratch and recreate it. Recreating your life isn't so bad either. What do they call it? A do-over? But until the next do-over, may the fairies speak well for you too. Cha 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 cha.